All right, good morning, gamers, and good morning, I guess, discussion. And we're going to be watching A to Z video on pretty much what are the most recent special cases of internet drama between very popular internet streamers. So yeah, A to Z. I'll probably put the link in the
Lawsuit for
description.
defamation
I
after his
will put the
wild
link in the
behavior by an
description. What am I talking
ex-girlfriend and
about?
fellow
Probably.
streamer Emaru came to light. And this is the plan B response, it seems like, because his first attempt at responding to this was going live and declaring demon time.
It's time to go full demon time. There is no holding back. I will expose everything about every person that you've ever known. Let's watch the
Why
world
does he have a
burn.
bike
So I have no
inside
idea
of
what
his
that was all
house?
about, but I do have a feeling that suing will only make things worse. So after all this, that was all
Oh,
about,
bro.
but I do have a feel.
We're suing both MizKif and, not suing MizKif. MizKif is suing. We're suing Emaru and Asmongold for defamation following, as you can read it, sexual assault allegations. They are allegations. Let it be known. I will tell you that if you do go through these issues, if you ever have an issue with sexual assault or any sort of actual assault towards you as a person, you should 100% take it up with 911 and get it to some sort of like crime, file a lawsuit, or I don't know, do something that is within legal means. And do not sit there and just take it on the chin, I guess. But I don't know if any of these are true. I don't know if any of them are false. But here we are, we're watching A to Z to figure that out.
Suing will only make things worse. So after all this information came out, it didn't take long for the internet to do what they do best and dig up all the clips that basically confirmed all of this. And it's safe to say things went from looking bad
you sounded
to
like a
awful.
you know what I sound like? I sound like a Roblox Coca-Cola can.
Talking today.
Then I drink
asked you to, so.
I'm not.
Roblox Cola.
Maya unimpressed. That's well, nobody asked. You do, so.
I'm not.
Maya unimpressed. That's what that was.
Two Starbucks bags of Starbucks I got you over the past 2 days.
If you're an avid watcher of Twitch streams and have logged on to Twitter in the last, week or two, then you probably already
That's
know what I'm
pretty
talking about.
bad.
And honestly, even if you don't watch Twitch on the regular, there's a good chance you've still probably heard of this entire situation. Because this is quite the man-child situation, to put it lightly. Because this all revolves around MizKif, a 30-year-old streamer whose real name is Matthew Renato. And it's safe to say he's had his fair share of call-outs, but now he's really outdone himself, and unless, I guess, he wins this lawsuit, like, it's starting to look pretty bleak for this guy. Honestly, even if he wins the lawsuit, like, reputation-wise, the damage has already been done. Because a little bit over a week ago, his ex-girlfriend, Emaru, who's also a Twitch streamer, she went live and alleged that he was abusive, controlling, and even had threatened her with blackmail.
Today, I'm finally going to be opening up about the psychological and domestic abuse, stalking and harassment, assault, and threats of blackmail that MizKif has done towards me, and some of these issues which are still ongoing.
And even though Miz took it upon himself to immediately go live and try to do some damage control, he only essentially just made it look way worse for himself. And viewers had already started finding and reposting old clips that started to paint a bad pattern.
Ew, so you said you were going to punch me, like, in those tweets? What did you mean by that? You should write a first-person account of living with NPD. I would read it.
What's NPD? Narcissistic personality disorders, mental health condition where a person believes they are better than. You really think I think I'm better than everyone else?
Well,
But now, the most recent update to this is Miz has gone a step further and filed a defamation lawsuit against Emaru, Asmongold, OTK, and other entities in the wake of all these allegations. I wanted to kind of take a step back and see what happened from all this before it.
We're only 2 minutes and like 30 seconds in. And the footage looks pretty bad. It looks pretty bad. I'm not trying to say anything about anybody. But if I was a jury in court and this was presented in court and I had to watch this, it looks pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie. looks pretty bad.
Made a video, and now it's safe to say something's definitely happening, so I thought I would make a video on it now. Okay, so all of this started on October 25th when Emmy went live and announced that she was only there to discuss a couple serious things, and it was not for her usual content. She started detailing the recent TwitchCon incident that she was also involved with, where someone was able to bypass security at her meet and greet and essentially grab her, which would be terrifying for anyone, especially when you consider the situation could have easily been so much worse. And then in addition to that, I mean, she has a bunch of confirmed stalkers that have been harassing her for years. So for this to somehow happen at TwitchCon is a really bad look for Twitch. They completely dropped the ball when it came to security. But after getting her view...
Look, it's a very bad look for Twitch. I don't think Twitch is the worst platform ever. But crowd controlling from Twitch sucks. I'm just saying. I mean, I've heard the things about how he's only been suggestively banned, or he's been banned for 30 days and such. But look, in the light of the law, this is a criminal offense. And even if it's not, and even if they can't charge you directly with the crime, and it's like a civil type of thing, I don't know, I may be speaking on my ass, but I do think you would probably get hit with a trespassing warrant, and something of the other sorts.
Viewers an update on the still ongoing Twitch incident. She announced that she has something else that she wanted to discuss.
The spit is fire, though.
Safe to say, nobody could have really expected
I don't know who
what
she's
was going to
cosplaying
happen
at
next. Because Emmy...
No, she's not cosplaying as Kakagori, is she? No, I don't think so. But the fist fire.
Gave a quick heads up with the story by telling her chat that she's run all of this by her lawyer before saying anything,
fire
which
too.
now seems like a good idea after
beanie.
Miz decided to actually take the legal route. Regardless, though, it was clear that it was going to be serious and that she didn't want to really be airing this out. But she did it at the point where she felt like she had no choice, since other people, according to her, may be put in danger.
For the entirety of this year, I have attempted to separate myself from him and not talk about him at all, and not talk about this issue, and just not make it a public thing. I always tried my best to keep this to myself, but like I said, I feel like it's gone to the point, which I'll explain later, that I feel like it just has to be done.
Then Emmy dropped it all, announcing that she would be opening up to the alleged psychological and domestic abuse, stalking and harassment, essay, and threats of blackmail that MizKif has done towards her. She then follows this by stating that she was told by multiple people just a few weeks prior that Miz has already done something similar to another girl. And one of the rules that she apparently made for herself was if she saw that someone else was in danger, that she would speak up. And she also claims that Miz has been trying to recruit mutual friends to help him create a smear campaign against her, claiming that she was neglectful and abusive towards her rabbits.
For a while, he has been indirectly threatening me through my friends and people that I work with. They've informed me that he said that if I ever talked about anything he did, he would try to create a smear campaign against me in retaliation. Multiple people have told me that his plan was to claim that I kill animals and that I kill my own rabbits, since I had several of my rabbits pass away over the course of 3 years while I lived with him.
And the irony is, that's exactly what he did, but we'll get into this less than articulate response in a minute. So Emmy then begins recounting her timeline of events. She says that Miz invited her to move into his house around the time of 2021 as a way to help her avoid stalkers that she was having problems with. Naturally, it seemed like a good idea. She could put some real distance between her and these stalkers, and she would be living with multiple other creators under one roof, which I'm sure felt a lot safer than being by herself.
I moved in with him, I believe it was the end of 2021. He offered, I was living alone at the time, and I was having stalker issues.
I never noticed how many Kirby's Emery has. I'm not hating. That's a lot of Kirby's, man. Oh, this is pretty fire. I fuck with that. What is this? Is this a Kirby lamp? Pretty far. How do you find a Kirby lamp?
this.
And apparently quickly her and MizKif became closer and started a secret relationship. Emmy says that he made her feel safe and supported while she was navigating a difficult situation, and she also felt slightly dependent on him in regards to her social life and stream. And I mean, if you move states, that kind of makes sense. So you're obviously going to cling more to the few people you already know in the first place.
I ended up joining the org and everything. We did a lot of streams together. We started dating. We were in a relationship starting January 2022.
She then continues by saying that it's probably not a surprise to anyone who was paying attention that MizKif was very controlling over how she dressed, who she hung out with, and how and when she streamed. She also makes a point to say that his behavior changed gradually.
It was definitely slow over time that bad things started happening. He initially portrayed himself to me as someone who was very nice to girls, wanted to help me feel safe from stalkers. It's not a secret. I think everyone who paid attention knew that he was
Not the
very
white knight
controlling
trope.
over what I wore, to a degree, who I was friends with, and even when I would stream.
She also recounts the alleged physical abuse of starting with things like him throwing plastic water bottles and his phone at her, despite her telling him that it scared her. She also stated that at one point he actually hit her in the face with his phone and it resulted in a black eye, but claimed that Miz was very good at playing things off like it was all an accident.
He would throw bottles, like plastic bottles with liquid in it, not like glass bottles, at me, despite me telling him like I didn't like it and it scared me and I bruised very easily. He would throw his phone at me, and one time it even hit me in the eye, which caused me to get a black eye. He always, you know, was like, oh, it's an accident, and I was like, oh yeah, it's an accident. At the time, I just kind of was, you know, I just brushed it off.
And people have actually found clips that actually lines up with this story where Emmy claims that she has a black eye from running into a wall.
I actually had like a small black eye
Crazy.
from running into something, and no one could tell. I thought I wouldn't be able to cover it because it was really bad. What'd you run into? I was like turning a corner really fast, and I hit like the bottom of my eye socket on the wall.
She then touches on a topic that you will likely remember if you already are aware of this, because, you know, you have the whole like MizKif's alleged cover-up of SA, where he was accused by Trainwrecks of downplaying and covering up an incident where his roommate and fellow streamer Crazy Slick.
What does it say? Okay, on September 19th, 2022. Wow, that was 3 years ago. MizKif was accused by fellow Twitch streamer Trainwreck TV of downplaying and covering up a incident where his roommate and fellow streamer Crazy Slick allegedly sexually assaulted female streamers. Adriana Lee. Don't know who anybody is. I barely even know who Trainwreck is. Later that day, streamer Ice Poseidon, whom MizKif worked with,
allegedly SA'd a female streamer by the name of Adriana Lee. And this was really what kind of like marked the beginning of MizKif's downfall. Like you could say, because even though, according to Texas-based law firm Jackson Walker, the Investigations Council did not find any direct evidence that MizKif attempted to minimize or cover up the SA as alleged, there was definitely still like a spotlight of shame on Miz that has never really fully gone away. And according to Emmy, this was also the catalyst for this behavior getting way worse, because apparently this is when Miz started control when Emmy would stream. She also claims that he would essentially not allow her to go live at the same time as him, since they shared a lot of the same audience members, and Miz didn't want the viewers choosing Emmy's stream over his. Honestly, massive skill issue on his part. Oh no, someone's going to someone else's stream over yours? Maybe, just maybe you should take some personal accountability and make better content. It's really not that deep.
After the like cover-up allegations happened and he was like starting to kind of struggle on his stream, he never wanted to stream at the same time as me. If we're live at separate times, we're both gonna perform better. You know, it makes sense. A lot of you guys probably noticed that I would only usually stream on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. That was because of him.
But in 2024, during a Rust Kingdoms event, Emmy and Miz were both live at the same time, and for the first time, it's safe to say it didn't end well. Pretty soon after they all started, chatters from Miz stream started flooding over to her chat, and it became obvious that MizKif had gone offline, because when she checked her Discord, Emmy saw that she was getting messages of him, like, you know, completely raging out on her because she had more viewers than him. Like, what in the man-child thing is going on here? Because, I mean, come on, like, if your significant other is crushing it, and apparently they were significant others at this point, if you're not proud, something is wrong. Like, if you're serious about this relationship, a win for her is a win for the team. And if you're together, like, you're a team. Like, what is the loss here for him? What? Oh no, poor Miz has like, what, 15,000 viewers instead of 20,000 viewers, and his girl is absolutely crushing it.
Oh, now
dude,
we gotta
that sounds
see,
like a dub.
we gotta
Like,
see
what are you
Asmund go
talking
side.
about? Like, the fact that he, like, man-child out about this and essentially just burned down his entire relationship because he couldn't control his own ego, that's pretty pathetic to me.
The first time that we ever streamed at the same time, 2024 Rust Kingdoms event on Twitch, I thought it was going really well. I start seeing in my chat unofficial Miz raid, and I'm like, what does that mean? And then I check my Discord messages, and he's messaging me, Emmy, I'm gonna KMS. Basically, he was upset because I had higher viewership than him. I was like, come back and play. Everyone's like wondering where you are. I'm still live, trying to act like nothing's wrong. He starts walking behind my stream and slamming the door so loud that my noise gate can pick it up. So I tell my stream, I'm like, hey, guys, I'll be right back. And I'm like, what's going on? He's like, I hate all you guys. Like, all you guys do is just take from me. And I was like, well, I don't know what to do now. And he was like, go finish your stream so that people don't know anything's wrong.
But once again, thanks to people digging up old clips, we can see exactly what Emmy was describing.
Oh, wait, check this out. Come here.
Ooh, hello?
Yeah. No, I hardly slept last night. All right, chat. I'll see you guys later. I just need a nap. I'm zooted out of my mind.
What does unofficial Miz raid mean? Oh, he
Guys,
did?
Listen, why are we all acting like we haven't pillaged? She was coming after me. I had to attack back.
Go to the restroom real quick. I'll be right.
There you go.
Okay, sick. Okay, I'm stuck in here. Okay, sick.
Oh, sorry. It's like 20 minutes.
The fact that he's slamming on her door while she is live.
Crazy
that is
work.
so pathetic. Come on, dude.
Crazy
but obviously,
work.
with all this evidence coming out of the story, because these people live stream so it's people can just go back in their stream VODs and find and corroborate these stories. Like, that's what's so crazy about live streamers. But after doing that, it became pretty obvious that MizKif was actually capable of doing stuff like that. So she then continues on, recounting that this was about when the relationship ended, and she decided to move out as soon as possible. And this time frame was where she says that he was actively breaking things, punching holes in the walls, and becoming genuinely more violent and angry. Emmy even said that she
I was going to say you could probably call the cops, but the cops can't do too much about someone punching holes in their own wall, unless it's causing a disturbance to the surrounding environment. That's kind of the sad part. But I'm going to tell you now, that kind of situation, you need to leave.
would lock herself in her streaming room while he would bang on the door and yell at her.
Obviously, didn't move out right away. After like all of that Rust stuff happened was when domestic abuse stuff really started. Destroy furniture in front of me. He would throw things in front of me and near me. I would go to my stream room and literally lock myself in to get away from him. And he would be banging on the door and screaming at me.
I mean, come on. It almost sounds like a parody that this dude would be banging on her door while she was streaming because he couldn't hold his little temper in. Like, the dude is so mad that he's essentially like Minecraft punching her wall. Like, essentially trying to,
you know what I'm saying? He trying to do a whole, here's Johnny, you know? Oh my god. I was gonna say the Kool-Aid Man, but I don't think the Kool-Aid Man punches the wall. He just walks right through it. At least here's Johnny. He got buzzed down that door.
grief her streaming room simply because she's getting more viewers than him, and because of that he can't control his ego, and his ego is scaring her away. Bro, you did this to yourself. And again, for context, like at this point of time, he was like one of the biggest streamers on the platform. He went from like what, like a little bit north of 20,000 viewers to maybe like 15,000 viewers when she was live. Like, oh, boo-hoo, cry me a river, dude, you're crushing it. Like, why aren't you just...
Bro, I wish I could have 15,000 streamers. I could do this all day then. You know? But I don't have 15,000 streamers. And I just started. So you know what y'all need to do if y'all ever see this video? Is you need to go hit that like, hit that subscribe. Wow, that sounds so fake. Look, man. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button, hit the follow if you want to, hit the notification if you want to. I mean, it appreciates. I think everyone gets appreciated by it. I would really appreciate it. And if anything, go check me out on Kick.com. I know. So probably you don't have Kick. You probably have Twitch, but I'm not on Twitch. I'm on Kick. And if y'all really like it, I'll start streaming on YouTube again.
being grateful for how far you've came. And overall, also just massive skill issue, because if you're a top streamer and someone's going to another stream for you,
This
clearly
rubber
your
duck is killing
content
me,
isn't
though.
as interesting. So maybe, just maybe, that's a sign that you need to level up your content game. Or at the very least, don't date one of the other top streamers on the platform, because clearly he has like a winner takes all mentality and can't accept that someone else in his circle is doing better than him.
Man is
But
trying to
she also brings up the
monopolize
fact
Twitch.
that he would drive at high
Like, you're trying
speeds
to
and threaten to
monopolize
crash the
public
car and
interview.
end them both.
Like if we were driving in the car together, he would be going like 150 miles an hour. One time he even said like, well, now we're both gonna die, like threatening.
No, I'll tell you now. My car cannot get to 150 miles per hour. Physically impossible. I'm not gonna say I've tried, but in my user manual, it does say it can only top at like 130. Okay. Unless you live in Florida or you're on the Autobahn of Germany, no one needs to be going 150 miles per hour. Like, what are we talking about right now? 150 miles per hour? Like, brother, you're beyond schmovin'. You're trying to catch like lightning, Miss McQueen or something. I don't know.
To both of us.
And that's honestly just messed up, because we've already had a McSkillet. We don't need another McSkillet. Especially, we don't need a McSkillet that brings even more people with him. For context, McSkillet was a Counter-Strike YouTuber and streamer who decided to be a selfish man-child and ram his supercar into like a family SUV and ended everyone's life.
That's absolutely terrible. I never even knew about that. I mean, look, we have what, Jack Doherty? Did he like purposely crash his Lambo or something? But like even when he crashed it, he didn't like crash it. Like when I mean like crash it, I mean like he didn't like he spun out because of his reckless driving. But it's not like he's totaled the car. And at the end of the day, I would probably argue that he still tried to avoid any sort of other people in the traffic. So, but I don't know about the
because
situation.
he lost a bunch of skins on Counter-Strike or something like that. It was because he was a gambling addict and then he just took everything out, and his YouTube career was also going down. So instead of, you know, locking in and making it back because he had a platform to do so, he just decided to be a selfish piece of shit and remove himself and a family out of the world. So for Miz to be threatening this makes him look incredibly pathetic. But then this story got corroborated by an old clip where another one of MizKif's exes, Maya, told a story that sounds very similar to Emmy's.
There's something about being trapped in a car with an angry, aggro man that is like the absolute most helpless thing. Dude, like we would fight in the car, which was never my decision. Like it just always like happened. Like we just would like fight in the car and then he'd go like 100. And I would like literally like beg him to slow down. I'd be so scared and I'd cry.
Yo, this is a lot of wine. I know that a lot of females love wine, but this is a lot of wine. Like, man, I take like one drink of wine and then I'm already like on it, you know? Like, okay, maybe I'm just a lightweight. But I take one glass of wine. The second glass is gonna hit me.
And then he would not slow down until I apologized. So then I started driving only, but then if we'd get in a fight while I was driving, he would like scream and like hit the ceiling and like hit the glove box and just like scream profanity.
So obviously that's just a very sane and normal take. But when she was finally able to move out and they were officially broken up, Emmy claims that Miz came over to her house for closure and instead allegedly ended up forcing himself onto her while she cried, to the point where she screamed, and it startled him enough to jolt up and announce that he he felt weird now, and I guess just left.
A week after this breakup, he asked to come over to my house and talk from closure. The emotions were just very high. I was dealing with a lot of major shifts in my life as a result of, so yeah, we were just talking and I was crying a lot. He started to try to comfort me by hugging me while I was sitting on the couch, and he started kissing me in my face. I let him do it. I was still sobbing a lot. Suddenly, he tried to climb on top of me and aggressively shoved his hand down my pants, and when I screamed, he jumped off me. Instead of apologizing or checking if I was okay, he said, "I feel weird now. I feel like I did something wrong. I have to go." And he immediately left my house without checking if I was okay or anything.
So obviously, if that's true, that's extremely alarming. Despite of this, Emmy says that she tried to stay cordial for the next few months, while Miz apparently was slandering her.
It's more than alarming. I think alarming is like a okay middle ground word. But that is like
her to mutual friends, calling them worthless
I don't
and
even
that she
know
is no
what's
use to
a
him,
stronger
and
word
so
than
on and so
alarming, to
on.
be
He would also
honest.
share private stories of Emmy's stalkers on his stream without her permission and claimed that he needed to go travel and find himself. But while he was finding himself, he would still be DMing her constantly and even allegedly following her around at parties that they were both attending.
And just in general, he would say horrible things about other streamers in Austin, like, "I hate everyone here. You are all useless to me. You're worthless to me because it does nothing for my stream anymore to collab with any of you." He realized he needed to go to Japan and LA to get his viewership back up, and he was basically too young to focus on friendships and relationships. I haven't spoken to him since January of this year. He has attempted to contact me over 40 times individually this year. This is only things that he sent to me. I can't document all the things that people told me that he was.
This is like, oh, how many do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Probably 9 somewhere over there. At least 9 right here. Can I even like read any of this? Can we please talk while you're here? Your lack of communication is very confusing, and I've been wanting to talk to you for a while.
Saying.
And to make things even worse for him, apparently a lot of the DMs came back as very likely written by ChatGPT, which is also kind of amusing because he can't even pretend that he actually cared. He was just getting AI to put in the work for him so he could pretend like he cared. Obviously, that's a minor detail compared to everything else, but still odd and interesting. But ultimately, she hasn't spoken to him since January of this year and is actively working to file a restraining order against him in both Texas and in California. But Miz wasn't going to let this information be shared without doing everything in his power to discredit Emmy, and he went live with what can only be described as a dumpster fire of deflection. Because even though he clearly has a script, maybe he should have, workshopped it a little bit before going live.
Yeah,
If people want to act like this,
know?
I've seen some people saying some very obtuse things. We can watch the world burn.
Okay, fast.
Obtuse. Can you even use obtuse in that type of way? You could probably say very strange things. But obtuse? I feel like obscure? Obtuse? Am I tripping?
Fascinating response, to put it lightly. Yeah, so Miz recounts a pretty similar timeline as Emmy, but of course he has his own opinions of what actually happened. He agrees they were trauma bonded, but claims that for the first year, they never really fought. And Emmy was just simply misrepresenting his actions.
As we were celebrating her joining OTK, there was a huge scare. Someone outside in the parking lot rammed into my Audi R8 and drove off. And while we were outside thinking it was a schizo viewer, we were told that the person who just hit my car was now inside holding a gun. This scared us to no end. My first concern was Emmy. The cops came, the drunk driver did have a
Does that
gun
work?
and was sentenced to 3 to 5 years in prison. Me and Emmy were terrified that night. And on the way home, I grabbed her hand and she grabbed mine. And we knew we were trauma bonded and we didn't want to let go. The first year of our relationship, we almost had no fights. We started to date officially in January of 2022. And up until my cancellation,
Trauma
everything was
bonded is a very
perfect.
interesting
The
way
water
to say
bottle
it.
that gave her a black eye, that wasn't thrown in aggression, and throwing his phone at her, that was apparently just a misunderstanding, according to him. He also claims that he mindlessly threw his phone on the bed while Emmy was laying there, and he did stop after bruising her and her asking him to stop.
She brushed over that I threw water bottles or my phone near her, but that wasn't during
Okay, but like the real problem is the fact that like in a real consideration aspect, you should have never done it to begin with. Like there's no way you see someone on the bed, like anybody on the bed, and you just toss your item on the bed. And then do you know how hard you have to toss the phone to give someone a black eye? Like, we're not talking about Boulder now. Am I tripping? We're not talking about Boulder now. We're talking about a water bottle that has some water in it. Well, I would hope it's not a full bottle of water. And we're not talking, and the phone is not Boulder, man.
fights. I want to make that very clear. It would be me throwing my phone on my bed when I brushed my teeth. She did tell me she got a bruise from it, and I stopped.
He then gives us a demo of him throwing his phone.
I will throw you and show you an example, chat. Right here, look at me. I would throw my phone on the bed. Like I would just lob it over because I was going to bed.
Yeah, and obviously that would hurt if it whacked you in the face. Like, it's a phone. It's not like a plushie, which we'll get into later on. But Miz seems to use
yeah, it
Emmy's
would hurt you, but like a black eye, you know how hard it is to get punched to get a black eye? Like, you don't just get hit. You gotta get hit with some force. Like, lobbing and throwing are technically two different kinds of connotation on the like the idea of force being used and the impact of damage. If I toss my phone on the bed, okay, but you throwing your phone with some force, like, what are you doing? And then lobbing is like your way of trying to like downgrade the extreme of throwing. That just doesn't work out. That it doesn't work like that in the English language. I hope you like, if anybody studies English, or if you're ever like really looking into like English and writing, what you need to understand, one, is that words, the description of words detail a different kind of outcome than what may have actually been done. So you cannot just say, I lobbed my phone. No, that's like you trying to say that lobbing is not obviously the same as throwing, but you're trying to act like you did not throw the phone. You threw it. You ain't toss it. Because if you tossed it, you would have said you tossed it. I've tossed phones onto beds. I've tossed things onto beds. I've tossed like items to people, but I have never ever thrown something at somebody or lobbed it at somebody. Like, am I tripping here? Is this like, is speech not important? I'm telling you, if we take this to court cases, they'll take this into account for real.
Stalkers is an excuse for part of the stress that he was feeling, even though he invited her to come live with him because of those stalkers to begin with. But hey, he does also seemingly just kind of glaze over the fact that Emmy was the one directly being stalked and harassed, and then his own solution to this was for her to just stop streaming as much for his safety and sanity. And that's kind of sad because that just means the stalkers win.
I did feel a lot of stress over the time of our relationship up until this point from her stalkers. From the ones that would show up at our old house, and also stalkers that just had from her TikTok postings. We found after being with each other that her stalkers would come to her a lot from her short form content. These people were schizophrenic and would think that she is talking to them.
Okay, but my real question is like, as MizKif is talking about the situations, it really doesn't take away from the fact that you did the actions you did to her while you were living together. Like, living together because of stalkers does not take away the fact that you potentially have done any sort of abuse to somebody, or any sort of alleged abuse or alleged anything to somebody. You know, like, you take it's like I take care of a homeless person does not take away the fact that I may have, talked badly about him.
I told her if we're going to be serious about this relationship, I need her to stop posting as much and to not farm these people. She agreed and understood that it was a safety concern for not only me, but the house. Russell, Simply, Corey, or anyone that was in my house or anyone that was near us.
He also talks about how the 2022 assault cover-up allegations affected his mental health and how that was the beginning of the decline. He admits that he would lash out at loved ones, but Emmy would still stick by him because she loved him and wanted to see him get better.
I was canceled by Trainwrecks and others trying to claim I covered up sexual assault. It was proven wrong, but that destroyed my mental health. I was depressed. I was losing OTK, my mental health, and all my friends. Emiru was one of the only people that were there for me.
During a trip to Japan, he says that's when everything reached a breaking point for both of them, and that's when the fighting began.
It got so bad, the stress and constant talking about the same things over and over and no sleep, that most of my hair started to fall out, and Emiru started to hurt herself while we were in Japan. And being that Emiru hung out with me all day, she too started to become high-strung. But as we stayed around longer, I started resenting her a lot more. You can take it out of only mode.
And I guess after fighting through the crocodile tears, he, pivots to then discussing Emmy's rabbits, which she kind of pre-fired that was going to happen.
Wait, you started resenting her more? What? Because of live stream difference?
Because obviously, remember earlier when I said Miz did exactly what Emmy had anticipated in regards to trying to start a smear campaign against her. This is about the point where his eyes, start drying up and he starts painting Emmy as an animal abuser and neglectful pet owner who ended the life of numerous rabbits out of ignorance.
Emiru has a lot of rabbits. These were a big part of her life. But as those rabbits moved out of her room and into the living room, they started to see disgusting neglect. No food, no water. I, along with many others, would come over, would give them what they needed, and I would tell her all the time to take care of them, but to no avail. She completely neglected those rabbits. Here is a video up close of Emiru's rabbits. These are small little mites that are inside the rabbit cage, and she didn't care. She left them to die, and I'm not gonna sit here and have her pretend she didn't. Emmy didn't care. She would sit inside and play League of Legends all day.
And then he blames her for having stalkers and lifts off a few things that he expected of her that were pretty obvious forms of control. And a big problem there is with any relationship, both people should be on the same page when it comes to these things.
True.
That's also a whole different issue. And I'm not even talking about just public to, the audience members, not even their friends knew about it, allegedly. So I feel like that also creates this really weird dynamic for a relationship.
I would use her for content, but after stream would want to be alone. But I would constantly...
You used her for content? Look, I had to break it to you, MizKif. As a man in society, this does not make you look this makes you look like one of the lowest men in society. You used a popular female streamer who's known for cosplaying and being quite attractive for a lot of audiences to farm content, to farm views. That's insane, man.
Tell her on and off stream that she needs to do more because these stalkers are getting worse. I know I wasn't perfect with my language or tone throughout this entire relationship. I know I wasn't. I was aggressive at times. In regards to being controlling, I told her many things. I told her to dress
we
older.
see it now. It's the I'm not perfect trope.
to stop wearing pajamas, to stop talking about stalkers and schizos as a whole, stop talking about past relationships, and yes, I didn't want her to travel without me. I also said that I didn't want her to hang out with specific people. This is because I didn't want her to get hurt. I didn't want some man to do something to her when I'm not there, and I wanted to keep her safe. I know I was controlling, and I should have just ended the relationship, but I was so confused as a person. I'm sorry things got to this point, man.
He then tries to act like he was being a hero and trying to protect her, but in reality, it just kind of seems like he was trying to paint himself as a victim. Like, he compares Emmy throwing plushies or clothes to him, literally putting holes in the drywall or slamming doors. Like, I don't know about you guys, but one feels wildly less violent than the other one.
Our fights started to get louder. We were breaking up with each other almost weekly. Fights were getting more aggressive, and shouting began to increase. I'm ashamed that the situations got so bad, but Emmy was also violent. She would throw clothes or plushies at me, and I punched holes in the walls or slammed doors in aggression.
Like, I just can't get over the fact that she would throw clothes.
Okay, look. I'm trying to think if there's an actual way to determine like the severity of violence based upon what objects are being thrown. But the reality is that really, I mean, plushies is not, you're not going to be harmed by the plushie. Unless the plushie got something in it. You can violently throw something. That's not a terrible thing to say. Like, you violently threw a stuffed animal at me, or you violently threw a pillow at me. But in the context of severity, it is not going to cause you bodily harm in the same way that you threw solid objects.
And plushies at me, like, that was like a crazy thing. Like, dude, imagine Emmy pelting these things at him, all while he's like literally punching holes in the drywall and slamming her door. I'm just saying the threat levels are not matching up here whatsoever.
True.
But his recounting of most of the fallout paints Emmy as a needy and manipulative person. But I think most people can also take a step back and understand that, you know, codependent relationships like this are hard to get out of, even when things are going very bad. And he ends up finishing by telling his chat that he had screenshots and evidence that he's going to be leaking as time goes on, but also that he had never had planned to use her rabbits against her, except if she spoke out about him. So basically, exactly like she said.
I want to make it very clear. When it comes to Emiru, when she says that I was getting ready to go after her and that I was going to use her rabbits against her, that was never the plan. My plan for myself was very simple. If Emmy were to say something about me, I would say something back. I never had a plan in my life to go after her or do anything. It was if she ever said anything, I would say something as well. I have dozens of photos and videos, calls and messages. I have things I will be leaking over the next few days of other people, of other things. I have a lot of messages that I have that I'm going to expose as time goes on.
Yeah, okay, so that just sounds like he was holding information against her to be useful one day in case she hacked it out. Kind of sounds like blackmail to me, but what do I know? The immediate fallout from all this was pretty insane because, like I said, clips have been popping up left and right of Miz making terrible comments about friends. And
can't say blackmail until the law says it's blackmail, but we could probably read the definition of blackmail. You know.
Exes, throwing things, or just genuinely just being a man-child on streams. I mean, just even the people who believe him in regards to Emmy abusing her animals, they still feel like that doesn't justify everything that he did towards Emmy. OTK, MizKif's old organization that he helped co-found, made a whole statement saying that they support Emmy, and they'd actually terminated their relationship with MizKif quite a time ago. And one of the most vocal voices about all of this was Asmongold, who is another OTK streamer, or former OTK streamer. And Asmongold claims that he knew about all these issues for quite a while now. But since all of this has now came to light, Asmongold has been rallying behind Emiru and perpetuating the narrative that MizKif was an alleged abuser and aggressor.
It was explicitly hidden as much as possible in order to make sure that nobody knew about it. I don't know. I'm not gonna get into the specifics, right? Emmy was afraid that if the information got out, and Miz made her afraid that it would negatively affect Miz in multiple ways, and so he didn't want that to happen. That's more of their interpersonal stuff, and that's what she said on stream, and so I'm not going to elaborate beyond that.
And even though MizKif hasn't gone live since the abysmal explanation, and neither has Emmy, leaving people to wonder like what's actually going on behind the scenes. On November 3rd, a lawsuit filed by MizKif outlines what he claims is defamation and breach of contract by OTK. And the 12-page lawsuit
Wait, what does he
outlines
say?
what
Oh wow, that was recent. That was 7 days ago.
he claims is defamation and breach of contract by OTK. And the 12-page lawsuit describes what he, in his opinion, was a targeted attack by Emmy, Asmongold, and other OTK entities, listing her October 25th livestream, his almost immediate release from OTK, and them reclaiming his shares in the company in the wake of the allegations as evidence. MizKif also claims that OTK has no basis to do this.
He led to assert a number of purported breaches of the owner's agreement. No such breaches occurred. Nonetheless, OTK asserted that it was reclaiming.
Since he never breached a contract he had with them, and they didn't make enough effort to investigate. Instead, just sending him a letter the same day as.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if this is true, but most of the times, if the board decides to terminate you, then they have the right to do it because of the fact that either you're no longer the main owner or you're not the main, like, you know, decision maker anymore. And if that's the case, if you're no longer the main decision maker, then the board can definitely terminate you for whatever reason they feel, especially when it comes down to PR. I don't know how it works in the OTK. I don't know how much MizKif's, like, I don't know how much, you know, control MizKif ever had and you know, such, but a lot of times the board decides on what to do with you, even if you are a CEO or a previous CEO or, you know, stuff like that, or shareholder.
Emmy's stream, letting him know what would be happening.
And what it seems like the board kind of decided that he was too much.
Stated that Emmy and Asmongold both knowingly perpetuated harmful and defamatory narratives about him during her October 25th stream and the following days after her stream. So now we can only assume that Demon Time means he's just going to go full lawsuit mode, or maybe originally Demon Time was him trying to like lash back at her, but when he quickly realized the tides of the communities were not siding with him, that's when he went the legal route. That's probably what happened, but who knows? That's just my opinion. His problem was he immediately went live and he confirmed a lot of Emmy's statements. So that definitely will not help him. Overall, this is going to be really interesting, especially legally, because a lot is going to come out in discovery if it gets that far.
Has MizKif at all provided any more evidence? Let's see. Real quick. Anyways,
this Twitch streamer just filed a law streaming yourself doing so, or while they're live streaming yourself doing so. It's just awful for business. Also, it's free to be a decent human being. I don't know why these people act like this, but hey, it'll definitely be interesting to see.
If the lawsuit becomes any more, we're definitely gonna find out more evidence and such, and we're really gonna just see what's gonna happen. The one thing with defamatory cases is that they're very hard to kind of like prove. Like, they're hard to win defamatory cases just because of the fact that the nature of defamatory cases is about proving false allegations, or proving the allegations are entirely false and that they are also damaging like your brand, your reputation, and it's causing you mental health issues, and you know, such and such. I mean, I think our last biggest like defamatory case we really had was probably the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard case. And if you haven't seen, you kind of want to go see how that went. It was quite entertaining. I mean, Asmongold probably formed like 11 videos off of it, to be honest, for how long it took. And as you can see, that it took so long because of so much evidence having to keep on coming out, and how much like they have to prove that the evidence is either false or being like, misrepresented, and it's being like, all kinds of stuff. It's very hard to win defamatory cases, and it's very technical. It's very technical by nature. It's not the same as like I stole from Walgreens and there's a camera proving I stole from Walgreens. Like this is like all about text messages and POV, personal viewpoints and stuff like that. So, but that is a Tozy report on pretty much that the Emeru MizKif Asmongold situation. And if you want me to see more of this, obviously like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow me on Twitch. I mean, not Twitch. Follow me on Kick, and I'll see you on the next morning. Darling.